Hello, my fellow readers. My name is Greg, and this is Ghost Readers in the Sky. And today is Tuesday, Tag Tuesday, and we're doing a tag called Worth Every Page, the Big Book Tag. I think that's the right title. It's pretty close. It was created by Shelly Swearingen. I was tagged by Alan at Alan's Reads, and it's pretty simple and straightforward. Originally just one prompt. Share 3 mammoth books, 800 pages or more, that you believe are worth the page count. And then there was a follow-up question that was tagged on. It said, share 3 mammoths that you want to or are planning to read. I'll state right up front that I don't read a lot of mammoth books. I used to say the perfect length for a book was between 150 and 200 pages, and now I'm at 200 to 250 pages. I think that is the perfect length for a book, for most books. I looked at my statistics on the story graph, and my most common length of book was less than 300 pages. That tracks. Any book that I enjoy is worth the page count and worth the time. I do a lot of reading, especially of longer books, because not only do they tend to be big and heavy, but they also tend to have small print. So a lot of times I'm using an ebook version, usually from Project Gutenberg, so that I can adjust the font. And then I'll often listen to the book at the same time. So I'm reading along, I'm listening, and I get an experience that I really enjoy. So a couple of these larger ones that I'm going to mention, I don't have a physical book copy. I just have ebooks and audiobooks. But I'm going to start with one that I finished just recently, and that was Waverly by Sir Walter Scott. It comes in, different editions come in between the mid 600 pages and a little over 800, so it might not quite be a mammoth, but it's pretty close. In the audiobook version, I think it was 17 hours. So it was a good sized book, and I really enjoyed Waverly by Walter Scott. I thought that was worth every page. I thought it was worth all the time that I spent on it. The second one, again, I don't have a physical copy here, although I know there are copies somewhere in this house, and that is Moby Dick by Herman Melville. I was late to the game in reading this book, but oh my, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it so much. It is, I don't know where it falls page-wise, but it's a big book. It's a whale of a book. Sorry. Waverly is mostly one through narrative of many months in the life of Edward Waverly. Moby Dick does follow Ishmael, who's telling the story, and his voyage on the Pequod, but there are a lot of diversions into the natural history of whales and the behavior of whales and the whaling industry, particularly out of Nantucket in the 1850s. And these are, to me, absolutely fascinating asides. And I think, for me, they make that narrative even more exciting, because it's not just we're going out on a boat to find a whale. It takes us back to that time and the difficulties and the things that those sailors and hunters went through to be able to get whale oil. So I found that definitely worth the time, worth every page. The last book I do have a physical copy of, but it is Centennial by James A. Michener. There, I think we can see the bulk of it. Yeah, Centennial. This is a book that was written in 1974, I believe. And I read this when I was still fairly young, in 77, 78, somewhere in there. And I absolutely loved it. This one is a true mammoth. It's 909 pages. And it just covers many centuries of time in this one place. That's what Michener did a lot of. It worked really well. It was a pattern that made a lot of sense. And so you see a lot of characters, but they all are related. They're relating to each other as they come into the story. So some of it you see family generations, some of it you just see new arrivals, but you see how they mix in. Okay, what do I want to read? I think these are classics. I am going to be much more open to reading classics than I am newer works that are mammoth. But some of the classics that I would like to get to: Count of Monte Cristo, Les Miserables, The Pickwick Papers by Charles Dickens. There are a few right there that sound pretty good. Looking through my shelves, I only see one mammoth that I really do want to read. And it comes in this edition at a mere 668 pages. That is Walter Scott's Ivanhoe. I thoroughly enjoyed Waverly. Ivanhoe's on my list of things to read, as is Rob Roy, maybe some others. But I find so far Walter Scott is worth every minute, every page. I looked at my shelves for thick books, and I pulled a few off, and you can see some blank spots back here. And all of these are anthologies that I want to read. This one, 668 pages, and it is works of Dashiell Hammett. It's got two novels, The Glass Key and The Dane Curse, and then some short stories. I haven't read either of these novels. I may have read some of the short stories. I would have to look more closely and do some cross-referencing and some hard thinking to know whether I've read them, but I'll read everything in this anthology at some point, but probably not as one big mammoth book. This has nothing to do with the prompt. I just found some books on my shelf that were mammoth-sized or close to it, and I thought I'd see what I had up there. All right, the next anthology I have here is Library of America. So it has this nice slipcover, comes off, and this is Frank Norris, Novels and Essays, 1,232 pages, very small print. It has 3 novels: Vandover and the Brute, which I've never read, McTeague and The Octopus, both of which I have read, and then a bunch of essays. I guess it's not horrible font. Can you see that? I don't know. It just gets tough on my eyes after a while. And I think I know I will read along with audiobooks as I look through these. And so I'll have a physical book and I'll have an audiobook, and I'll do this one too. And then a new acquisition, a mammoth anthology. Well, it's only 514 pages, but it is H.G. Wells, and this is all reprints from the pulps. So it has The War of the Worlds and some other novels as they were serialized in the pulps, and then a whole bunch of short stories. Most of these I have not read. And so they are done. It is really a reprint of what the pulps look like. So it has the original illustrations, and this is really small print. And that's okay. Let's see, here's another page. I'm just randomly opening this to something. Yeah, H.G. Wells' Collector's Book of Science Fiction, it's called. And that just looks like a whole lot of fun. So again, another anthology. So the mammoths that I have on my shelf are not quite mammoths. And they tend to be anthologies. I do have Ivanhoe, which again is a little bit short of a mammoth. But I thought this was an interesting tag. And it's also, to me, it's quite interesting that I haven't read a lot of mammoth books. I knew I hadn't, but really, as I start going through, I just realized, wow, there's a lot that I haven't read here. And that'll wrap up this tag. Thanks, Shelly, for creating this tag. Thanks, Alan, and thanks for all of you for walking through what I've read, what I want to read, what's on my shelves. Thank you so much for watching this today. And till next time, my name is Greg, and this is Ghost Readers in the Sky.